Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Garden, Quilt, and Art Show. I keep forgetting that I changed my name. It's GQUAT Traditions, but nobody knew what all those GQAT letters meant, so I just shortened it. So for the show, I will call it Garden, Quilt, and Art Show. Thank you, Rachel, Unbiased LLC. I appreciate you and your support. Oh, and a couple of things. Hope you're able to stay around because during one of my 15 minutes, dun, 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 I made some merch. I'll show you later on. One of my friends who has an embroidery machine made me some patches a while ago when I wasn't able to use my embroidery machine. And I started putting them on some gear just so I could have something like you because I'm not embroidering. Hey, Joe, Grow Big TV, Mike's Chaotic Gardening, my Renaissance Grandma, Bad Body is so fit. I don't know what you talking about, Willis. Hello, Mike's Chaotic Gardening, and anybody that I might have missed. Crafty Leo, that goes for you too, with the embroidery patches. Y'all gonna make me get out my embroidery machine. I pulled some files out because the brother and the baby lock take the same files. So I was going through some things. Crafty Leo, appreciate you. For those of Sissy Joanne Stevens, hello. Just talked to you and Roscoe a few minutes ago. I'm all wrapped up. I actually was looking for something to wear, and the shirt I was going to put on was a blue shirt. It was hugging. It was too tight, so I took it off and just put something else warm on. It is so cold in Connecticut. It is 17 degrees. Hershey and I went out a while ago. Hershey, come here. And he still has a sweater on. He kept acting like he was cold. Come here. So he still has his sweater on. So I left my hair all wrapped up because this is a really nice scarf. One of my friends, Sissy, my friend Shonda Holloway, is a printer. She does print art and she hand printed all these faces on the scarf. So I just used it for whatever. I was just trying to find something white and blue. Grow Big TV Joe, I saw you at the beach with the frost and the snow and everything. So you guys, today will be a kind of a short session. I want to go out. Thank you, Crafty Leo. She does all hand printing with different objects and stuff. You probably know how to do it. I do. It's just that you only have two hands and so many things to do. For those of you who are new, welcome. Thank you for coming. For those of you who are in the bushes, I appreciate your support. It helps the channel to and grow hours. And on Saturday, we actually have a chance to talk and to do things when everybody's in the bushes and working. For those of you who see the names in green, they are the ones who are subscribed to the channel and pay $1.99 a month to help the channel to grow and to help get little technical things that I need to try to grow the channel for content. For example, cameras, mics, things like that. I actually have a couple of mics. I have a camera that I'm trying to work on in this life. Thank you for coming and welcome. I don't remember seeing you, but I appreciate you and thank you. And Unbiased gave me a hint. I don't know if you guys were here last Saturday when I tried to use another camera and I got a really bad reverberation, like wow, wow, wow. So she told me something to try. Francesca, thank you for coming and welcome. Well, you guys, Yvonne Sidbury, thank you for coming. I'm getting new names. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming and welcome to GQUAT Garden Quilt and Art Show, where good friends become family and family is everything. Hello, Jared Talks. Thank you for coming and welcome, welcome, welcome. Marie Graham, thank you for coming. I want to ask you guys a quick question. In this weather, or maybe it's more like a statement, are all of you safe? Do you all have anything that you need? Because we're a family here, and if you need something, you don't have something, we'll find a way to find some way to get resources to help you. I mention that because today I saw two things that really bothered me. I saw one of the elderly gentlemen who lives in the building. This guy is not old. He is young, much younger than I am. He's disabled, but he has one of the rollator walkers, and he's so disabled. He's leaning way over, walking out there. I almost fell in the black ice yesterday. I took Hershey to the park. We were fine. But yes, thanks for hitting the thumbs up button, you guys, and supporting the channel so that the algorithms will catch me and show the channel to people who may not have seen it before. So Hershey and I get back to the back of the building. I live in a senior apartment building in Connecticut. And just when I'm thinking I'm safe, not paying attention, baby, as Simona says, one of my boots, one of my fake Timberlands hit something slippery out there on black ice, and I almost went down. And it caused my knee to buckle. The one that's going to be replaced in about a month scared me to death. So I saw the maintenance man, and he was telling me that he put ice melt down, and I was trying to explain to him, not over there where that crack is. Then he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Grow Big TV. Thank you for the super sticker." And I'm going to put a little money dance up. I think those are so cute. I'm going to do that. But what I wanted to tell you, those of you who have children, and they're out there in the snow and the ice and the shadows and the bright light reflecting on the snow. I can Oh, let me go back to tell you about this guy. So he's leaned over on his walker, not paying attention, talking on his freaking cell phone. On his cell phone. He's got his face hugged up to it and one hand on the cell phone. For those of you who have elders, yes, Joe, family is everything. You grow row. Funny story. You guys have to go to her channel because she's addicted to seeds, and she has a funny video out. I want you guys to see Our Treasured Home. Yes. So for those of you who have elders, help walk them to the car. Help make sure they get in safely. Make sure their feet are dry. For those of you who have pets like Mr. Hershey, if they're walking outside with that ice melt and the salt and stuff, wash their feet off. Give them boots. I have Hershey some fake Uggs, or hugs, I guess they call them, for BOYS. I'm not supposed to say that. I'm supposed to be gender neutral. But I bought him some boots like mine. He won't wear them. He's walking like dressage, like a horse in one of those fancy shows, Lippenhauser horses or something. And then another thing that I saw going forward is I was coming out of the drugstore. I had run out of 5 different medications because it was so icy and snowy. I didn't want to go out and walking. And there's a kid coming down the street on a scooter. It was an electric scooter, and he had on all black, all black. I didn't even see him. The driver didn't see him. Thank you, you guys. I'll be careful, Mike, Francesca. And although I've got a big cushion to fall on, I probably would have been safe. But I don't know about these other 2 people. That one guy, he's always in and out of rehab, the nursing home, for different things, Francesca, I know that you teach your children manners. This child coming down the street, he was a young person because he was small, but he's on the scooter. Might have been one of the Yale students because this is kind of a safe area, and a lot of college students, especially Yale, live in the area. And he's coming by, no reflective gear, no nothing. If they're going to be out on the snow, on the sleds, or walking around, make sure that they have reflective gear, because you know what? These drivers get a flash of sun, the snow, they may not see your loved ones. And then what? Then, it just would be sad for something to happen. So that I can get to showing you how to quickly make this quilt in back of me by hand or with sewing machine. I call it the Francesca said she just bought reflective tape for her children when they walk to the lake to go ice skating. That's right. That's right. Good for you, Francesca. And I hope they put it on, because I know kids, having it is one thing, putting it on is another. So this quilt, you guys, is one of my patterns. I'm offering the pattern free. It's very simple, and I will show you how to cut it. I call it a fat quarter quilt because it's easiest if you buy 8 fat quarters for this middle part inside the green, and there are 8 blocks. That's why I call it CRAZY8. There are 8 blocks that have 3 pieces each. And I will show you how to do that. But first, I want to show you what I do with my 15 minutes. Good for you, Francesca. She says, Mom's orders, it will grow on, it will go on. Good for you. So the reason I have a 15-minute challenge is so that I figure if you're at work, if you work at home, you can take 15 minutes to make something, to make gifts for family members later on in the year. I'm working on Mother's Day. I have 3 or 4 birthdays in February and March. I know that I am having surgery, so I may or may not be able to sew. So I have different projects going on. One of the things I did in one of my 15 minutes was this. This is my big black hoodie sweatshirt. I had one years ago, but it's gone now. I didn't have one. It's super big. And this little patch is a machine embroidery on some of that fake leather, the naugahyde. Why? Because I can wash it in cool water and it won't be ruined. So people like Crafty Leo, Unbiased LLC, they have embroidery machines. And there are others who have embroidery machines, but they may or may not be in the chat. For sure, Crafty Leo and Unbiased LLC are in here. I don't know if you guys are able to drop your links on how to get to your channel, but all this is, I'm trying to hold it close. That same naugahyde we talked about, Rachel, my friend put it on here. It was a square about 5 by 5, and I cut it around. In my 15 minutes, I just sold it on my heavy duty machine. Oh, guess what? Guess what, Rachel? I almost broke my first needle today on the heavyweight machine, sewing through like, I want to say 8, 9, 10 thicknesses, but going fast. When I went through the other side after I changed the needle to a 20 Singer heavy duty needle, which is for leather, it went right through like butter, baby. So I was just making some merch since I don't have any. This won't be my merch, but it's my name. There are a lot of pankies in the world. Okay, so I want to show you Thursday night, you guys. I don't know if you remember, I was working on this feed sack bag. Why do I call this a feed sack bag? Because have you ever seen horses when they're in the stable and they have their faces in there and they're eating? That's what this looks like. don't those needles are expensive, Rachel. And I put the biggest one in there, and it didn't break though. It bent, but it was unusable, and I put a new one in. So this is a feed sack bag, you guys, and I made the other night. I wasn't thinking. I was running my mouth. Did I say hi, Nikki, the OCD chick? I was running my mouth. I didn't need to put these thick seams in. I put French seams in. I think maybe I was just showing you guys so that it's like this. It's really thick. But what it does when you put them in your bags, oh, thank you, Maria Graham. This is a handmade piece of functional art made by one of my girlfriends who printed this. She's a does artistic printing, and she gave me this. And I was trying to put on some white and blue and match up some stuff. This is some stuff, and this is what happened. So this feed sack bag, remember, Aunt, oh, Pieces of April. Thank you, ma'am, for the super chat. Auntie Ellen, happy Saturday. This is a piece of the fabric Auntie Joanne and I found in the secondhand store in Arizona. Not April, Rachel had us call April. I was calling Rachel April all day yesterday. We had a conversation. I was just I was just using the wrong name. So if there's this big pocket on the outside for if you're shopping. I like these narrow bags. Who needs a bag that's heavy and whatnot? So I put a little piece of kente cloth just to brighten it up. I know that this bag is going to a gardener, so I figured they would like the green. Haha, I said the they, I thought about it. Casings 55, thank you for coming and welcome. And I went to my post office box. So I want you guys to see the 15 minutes after we went off live on Thursday. That's when I finished this. You see how square it is? This bag, look, it just sits up. It just sits up. And this is a feed sack bag. It's going out. Big Rooster's package went out today. Oh, yes, it did. So this one I'll try to get in the mail on Monday. I just want to go through the mail. This one, as you know, is going to be a giveaway. This is an extra large hobo bag that ARD, a resilient dad, will be giving away on his live. I'm not sure exactly when he's going to tell me, so I'm holding it for him. It's 20 inches wide by 20 inches long, and he told me to hold it for him. And it has a specialized button, very big pocket, just to show you a couple things, because my sister Joanne talked to me today, and it was funny. She asked me a question that us creators probably get jagged. J3GS, thank you for coming. So remember this pink handmade quilt that I made when my Rottweiler died in North Carolina, and I was so depressed. Was doing something. Well, this is what I made. Well, guess who is purchasing this one? None other than the Maria Graham. And I will be getting this out to her. It's already neatly folded on the inside. Maria Graham, a quilt label is actually a part of the provenance. Provenance meaning the story of the quilt. A quilt is a piece of history. It tells you the date, the time, the place it was made. For me, I usually put the size of the quilt. Why? Because if I put it in a quilt show, I don't have to look up the dimensions and pull it out. You see all I'm going through trying to fold it again. And I didn't wrinkle it, Maria. I didn't wrinkle it, sweetie. So now let's talk about what happened at the post office. I have a mail haul. I have two things. I inherited my grandmother's industrial sewing machine. My grandmother passed. Auntie Joanne is, oh, Auntie Joanne just told me today. She passed on January 19th, 1976. She was born in she was born in 1913. No. Yeah, she was born in 1913. And she purchased this heavy duty industrial machine, and she passed away before she ever had a chance to use it. Well, it stayed in my mother's house up on the third floor in one of the bedrooms, covered up until I moved in this apartment. And my mother gave it to me. It takes two men to carry it, especially down three flights of steps, down some more stuff, than to move it to get it in here. And I never tried to use it. And I've been in this apartment 6 years because I didn't have a manual. Well, my sewing machine refurbisher who lives in Texas helped me get this and the instructions for a 31-15. In fact, he helped me find out what the model number was. And I've got this book. Look at these nice big letters. Nice big letters. Hey, David Corey with Crop, the Cropper, Sir Cropper. And so now I can see what to do because with these machines, and this machine is probably about 75 years. It's old. It's really old. But I didn't want to use it without oiling it, without greasing it. And there's some of these machines that you cannot put like oil in the motor. So, and there's a startup technique that you need to do when you haven't used one. This one hasn't been used. I told you my grandmother passed in 1976. This machine has not even been plugged in. It will be now, and you all will be seeing her. Her name is Roxy, after my grandma's middle name. And now I am so excited about this one. This is a mail haul from one of the subscribers. She's in here now. Can you tell me if I can say your name, please? The person who sent me this. She asked for my, what do you call it? My Amazon wish list. I did not know how to drop the wish list, but I went on Amazon and I emailed it to her, and she surprised me. Casings 55. Thank you so much. I love herbs. I have jars of herbs. I have books about herbs, all kind of herbs, but I don't have this one. And I had it on my list. This is the Herbal Remedies and Natural Medicine Bible. I try to use a lot of the natural stuff. Pieces of April. I bought paint. I'll let you know when oh, you only want to paint with her? Oh, you only want to paint with April? Okay, fine. I'll paint with her too. No, I'm just teasing you. We're all here for everybody. Why? Because good friends become family, and family is everything. So when I use this book, I will let you guys know. I do a lot of herbal teas now, and I do my own herbs. I very seldom look at a cookbook or a other recipes, and Auntie Joanne can tell you if it's already deceased. I will cook it. I can cook almost anything. Hello, 10, the educated natural, and thank you for coming. Although I saw somebody today cook something I've never cooked or seen cooked, but I'm sure I can make it work. And she was cooking camel. Yes, Camel, like the things with the humps on their back. She was cooking that meat. I didn't even know they ate it. But if it's not, people will eat anything. A hungry stomach, they will eat anything. I just saw somebody come in that I didn't see. Hello to anybody that I didn't see. And thank you for coming. I was watching a movie the other day about gorillas and the people who patrol one of the parks. one of the parks who in Africa, and they were saying, why would anyone hunt and eat these endangered species with the razorback gorillas? And the reason is their children were hungry and had nothing to eat. So that's why nobody wants to see their children hungry. Here's something about elderberry echinacea. I tried to plant 2 elderberry, 4, John and somebody, I forgot their names, but they didn't live here in Connecticut. Dandelions, I actually made dandelion salve this year. Corn, it has all the different chamomile. I grow that, basil, barberry. I grow, and I've been into herbs for 70 years. 70 years. And because my grandmother, we didn't, Auntie Joanne will tell you, we didn't go to the hospital unless there was a broken bone or we needed stitches or something. Our parents put this and that in our grandmothers. GT Jr. grows in Alaska. Hello and welcome, welcome, welcome. GT Jr., did you get your second postcard yet? I have sent 2 handmade fabric postcards to Alaska. And I know you didn't get the first one. I made a second, and these were one of a kind. One of a kind. Somebody, if you didn't get this one, although it took me like 4 or 5 months to get the seeds that you spent when I won the WIG Grow Off last year. Yes, you guys, I gave everybody a chance to win this year because, oh, you did receive it. Yay. Oh, I didn't know what to do. I was so sad that I kept trying to send you something that I thought you would like, and you didn't get it. You didn't get it. So, just so that you others would have a chance to win, you croppers and all of y'all, I didn't even start my indoor growing until Thursday, 2 days ago. He says, thank you, Auntie Ellen. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. So, since I'm trying to move it along and not speed, I will show you. He's laughing. He's laughing. How to cut this out like in 5 minutes. If you use fat quarters, it's like just a couple slices with a rotary cutter and a big ruler, unbiased LLC, or you can make individual blocks. This is what you will be cutting. For those of you who are able to write it down, you're going to cut. Hey, Gina, thank you for coming and welcome. And thank you for support as one of our friends and family members. So you see, there's a 3.5 by 16.5 inch strip. There is a 6.5 by 16 inch strip, a 10.5 by 10.5 inch block, a 6.5 inch by 10.5 block. But the easy way to cut it is to put 4 fat quarters together, and I will show you how. So this inner part inside the green lines, say it's a baseball stadium or not, inside the green lines, this is only 8 blocks. So what you do is get eight fat quarters. And I want to tell you this, the fat quarters that you get overseas are not the same as here. Their fabric is narrower, but a fat quarter is 18 inches by 22 inches. And it's actually a yard of fabric, which is 36 by 44. They cut it in half. So half of 36 is 18 and 18 inches. So the part that's 44, they cut in half again. Hold on, and I'll show you. This one is a little bit smaller, so because this is a piece of Watermark Boutique. Oh, a funny thing. The other day we were interviewing fabrics. Well, you know what? Just like when a job, everybody that's interviewed doesn't get the job. I didn't keep all those fabrics. I changed my mind already, and I changed three of them out. I changed three of them out. So going back to, let me see, this one is about the same size, but it doesn't have a, it's not cut the same way. You see this fabric? This is not an African batik. And I was telling you about different fabrics. Number one, the weight is not the same. It's much lighter. And you see this? The color on the back is much different than the color on the front. You can obviously see the back from the front from the back. But it's still beautiful fabric, and it wasn't cheap. It was $20 a yard, you guys. So this is how you can tell the edge of an imported wax print. I was a little bit annoyed about this. I bought this. Look at this. Somebody had snipped a little corner out to fussy cut for something of theirs. I will tell the lady I bought it from. I'm sure that she'll make it good. But, oy vey. So what you're going to do to cut these fat quarters out, you're going to cut them out four at a time. Four at a time. So you see where it's printed. You can tell the front of Francesca, it doesn't have to be that steep. You can use old clothes. You can use old jeans. As a matter of fact, when I make this quilt for myself, I'm going to make mine with old jeans. Why? Because Big Rooster sent me some, and now I have some jeans big enough to make a 10.5-inch block. This is the 10.5-inch block. When you say a block, they talk about the size before it is sewn. So don't end up making something that you will be too small when you make it. It would make a pretty skirt. Yes, these are, they just wrap them, Francesca, and around their waist for a wrap in Africa. And trust me, you usually buy the 6-yard piece. Why? Because they take a piece of it and they make a gale, which is the name of the head wrap. They make a gale and they wrap some around their waist. I don't know. Some of us thick girls may need one or two pieces. So this is what you do. When you want to cut out all four pieces at one side and use whatever is in your budget. I don't use this fabric every day. I don't buy African fabrics every day. I can't, I won't afford them. I have to eat. I have a life. I have to pay rent. I have to pay blah, blah, blah. So you see this one? What I'm doing, you know that the salvage edges, Francesca says they're pretty. Oh, you guys, Yankee Sister said to tell you hello. Her grandson is having his 9th birthday party tonight. So this is the salvage edge. You know this is straight. So you take all four of the salvage edges, and the only way you can tell the front from the back of this fabric, because the fabric is so heavy and the ink is so thick, is by putting these together. So I'm going to put this on the table and take you over there because I'm going to show you how to make the easiest quilt that you ever could make. It's easy. It's even easier than sewing a bunch of squares together, because you see how big these are. How big these are. Oh, you guys, I didn't mean to mislead you guys. Yankee Sister, oh, they're saying, when you go back over this, Hermana, they're saying, Yankee Sister, hello to Shiloh. Okay, so I'm going to get ready to take this over there because I want you guys to do what you love and love what you do. And If David, thank you. You like my head wrap? It's hand. This is hand printed. My friend, a lot of my friends are artists, and she prints graphically, and she hand printed this head wrap for me. It's not a head wrap, it's a piece of fabric. I just wrapped it around my head. So to make a quilt, why people sell them, why they're so expensive, a twin quilt, this is a little bit smaller than a quilt. The finished size is 59 inches wide by 70 inches tall. I usually make my quilts 72 inches. I didn't have enough fabric. I did not have enough fabric at the top. So I had to strip like the side pieces, and I just cut it in half for the top. But it doesn't have to be exactly this. Or you can mix and match or make it whatever size you want. You can just cut 10.5 inch blocks from all different fabrics. This block is 6.5 by 10. You can use different fabrics. But if you do the fat quarters, it was just a way of showing you an easy way to cut a quilt out. And I taught how to make this. I have style, David. Corey, thank you. I got that from my mother. Hello, Mother. She's always listening and watching. She says, I always watch. I just don't remember everything. She's watching. I'll talk to her about you guys. So I'm taking my notes over here and the fabric and show you, oh no, to get it all out together. Are you talking about the quilt, Francesca? No, this quilt can be made by hand. That's why I'm showing you. And it can be made out of any bunches. It can be made out of any bunches of fabric that you choose. Like I said, my grandmother didn't use it. One of my grandmothers made pillowcases out of old feed sacks from my grandfather's pigs and chickens. And my mother had bitty chickens. Yes. Yes, Francesca. Just cut the size of the blocks. And if you don't know how to hand sew them, I will talk to you separately and talk to you and give you a lesson on hand stitching, or I can teach anybody in here how to hand stitch it. Because if you just do a little running stitch, double your thread up, use cotton, and all you need to make this quilt is a ruler, scissors, a needle, and thread. Maybe if you choose to use a rotary cutter, if you've never used one, please don't start now and say, I got you injured. And if you're using big pieces of fabric, you may need a tape measure. Guess what? This is my construction tape measure. Nobody quilting has 140 feet or 25 feet. This thing is heavy on your waist, but you don't need that. Okay, so around we go, inch by inch, step by step. Do what you love and love what you do. I'm turning slowly so that I don't get dizzy. So let me pull my stool over and put this down. I will get the camera angles in a minute. Before I show you this, I want to show those of you who have sewing machines. The pink quilt that I showed Francesca, I don't know if you saw it before, but you can go back in the video. Hello, Barb Brownlee. Thank you for coming. That one was completely pieced by hand, and it was quilted by hand. The one that Maria Graham bought, that's why she bought it, is because it was done. So, let's see. Oh, okay, no problem. This is, can you see that? This is what's called a double needle. And what this does, it fits in your sewing machine. I turned the sewing machine around so I could use this whole table to show you guys something. And you put the double needle in, and there's a way you thread your machine so it can pull two strands of thread at the same time, And you can get a double row of stitches like you see on jeans sometime. That's how you do it. But I had this out and I just wanted to, actually, I'm not putting it there. I have so many little things going on. I want to put it where it goes. So I will put it in the bag with this with this sewing machine parts for here. So this is how you cut this out easily. So you see all fat quarters are together. You put the tops up, okay? Then you lay them down so that they're flat on your table like this. Now, the way this is designed, a fat quarter, I told you, is 18, this one 18 inches, 18 inches this way, and the longest way, which is this way. I'm going to move this to give you guys a better view. And I'm going to change this whole thing because I really want you to see this because it's so easy. You only need 3 slices to cut it. I think maybe I'll put it back up, but I'm going to leave it like this for a second and get my ruler and rotary cutter. And just for safety's sake, you guys are my family now. You should not be using a rotary cutter unless you're very familiar with it. Don't make this your first time. So, I want to show you this. You can take a whoops, not the a screenshot of this. So what you're going to do is cut 8 blocks and cut them 4 at a time. I'll give you 2 sets of instructions. Cut 8 blocks 4 at a time. So there's 4 blocks. We'll pretend there are 4 blocks lined up here together. We're cutting the first slice you see down there is 10.5 inches by 10.5 inches, 6.5 by 10.5. So this whole thing is 10.5 inches, right? Those of you who are planning on making this quilt, make a screenshot of this so that you can remember and it will be easy. Again, this is my own pattern that I make up, and I'm just giving it to you guys for free. Other people are selling their patterns on Etsy or eBay, whatever. So 9 yards of fabric to make this quilt, or cut up whatever you want. Cut up whatever you want. My grandmother, I told you, used to make the pillowcases from the old feed sacks. She'd bleach them and embroider them. Okay, so trying to figure out where I can put this. I'll just leave it there. Okay, so that you could see the way I'm cutting this. So this first cut, I would cut this. This is the edge of the fabric. So I like to leave this because a lot of people make quilts out of this, but this piece, a fat quarter, is almost totally used. Totally used. So you can cut this little edge off, okay? Then the next slice you cut, well, the next slice you cut is 10.5 inches across the whole thing. That's it. Just 10.5 inches. Then the next piece you cut, you move your ruler over on there's a cutting mat under here. You cut 6.5 inches. Then you move your ruler over one more time, it's 3.5 inches. Okay. Then I'll show you what happens. Through the magic of television or YouTube, look at this. This is what you have. This is the 10.5 inch section. So since this part is 10.5, you trim the edges. When you get your 10.5 inch strip here, you cut your 6.5 inch strip and you'll just have tiny shreds left. Tiny shreds left. This is the 6.5 inch piece. You just trim the edges. Why? Because this whole piece adds up to 17 inches. Well, the fat quarter was only 18 inches to start with. It was only 18 inches. So you're only going to have an inch, maybe a half an inch on either side. And if it's cut crooked, like most of it is that you buy, that's all you're going to have. This one, you trim the edges and the 3.5 inch strip. So, and I'll tell you, this 3.5 inch strip, it wasn't quite long enough. So what did I do? I cut 2 pieces and I'll sew them together to make the 16.5 inches. I'll do that when I get to it, but I'm going to take this out and put it aside because I'm going to show you how fast this quilt goes together. So now, these 3 pieces are all you need for the quilt block. This is all you need for the quilt block. All right. So 10.5. It's going to be like, what you're going to end up with is a 16 inch block. You guys were so quiet. I didn't see any comments. I looked to see if we were still there. Crafty Leo said, there's a little bit of fraying with rotary cutter. I just cut these today, so they didn't have a chance. It doesn't matter if it's crooked and wonky, Rachel. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, back in the day, when I first started quilting 25 years ago, I walked around. I didn't have a rotary cutter. I didn't have any rulers. I had a pair of scissors. You are. Rachel, you guys are so quiet. I thought that we got disconnected. I'm just trying to give you the best that I have and to show you that you can do this. You can do this. That quilt, the pink one that Maria Graham bought, I did those blocks when I was depressed that my Rottweiler died in North Carolina, and I was off grid, and all I took with me was this. I didn't have any $20 a yard fabric. I took my truck and drove to Walmart and bought scraps, bits and pieces. And I had a little 8.5 inch square that I cut out of a piece of computer paper. And that's what I used to put my blocks together. And I want to tell you guys, when it comes to the quilting, the hand stitching, David Corey reminded me one time, and I had forgotten about this because I learned like later on, I was 50 when I started quilting, that some of the grandmothers used to tie the quilts. I can teach you guys how to tie them when you finish. If you don't want to do the hand stitching in the middle, for those of you who don't have machines, once you sew these blocks together, and I'm going to show you how quick it is. Okay. Oh, 1 second. You see this? This is all that's left at the end of cutting a 16-inch block out of the 22 inches, 18 by 22. This is all you have left, and a few tiny scraps that you will not throw away because you will be using that as well. Okay, so we're not going to use We're not going to use the 6.5 inch piece yet, right? So we're going to put that aside. Now, did anybody need this or did you get a copy of it? Now, on the other hand, so we use 8 fat quarters. For those of you who want to cut them individually, just cut 8 blocks, 10.5 inches. Cut 8 blocks, 6.5 by 10.5 inches. Cut 8 blocks, 3.5 inches by 16, and 6.5 inches by 16. But you won't be using those right away. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew these together. Except why sew the same color? We're making a quilt. So what I'm going to do is take the top piece off and put it on the bottom, right? All these are right side up. Why? Because I put them right side up before I cut them. Yes, Rachel, 8 fat quarters, 8 different fat quarters, so that you can see the different pattern. And it doesn't mind, this is just a little accent quilt. It can be any colors that you want. So now I'm going to stand up and lift this machine around. And turn her around. So I want to leave it like this so that you can see the bottom and the top. So check this out. Trying to make it so that you can see it. I'm going to take these right sides together. I'm going to put this over here. This fabric is so thick, it's like you have to, and see when I cut with the rotary cutter, it makes it so even, it's pretty straight. If it's not straight, don't worry about getting all your pieces cut, Barb Brownlee. You guys are going to catch up because remember, I have to go in the hospital and get surgery. You guys can keep sewing when I can't. So this machine, I remember that I had the needle to the left. So I have to push the needle to the right. And normally in quilting, you use a quarter inch seam allowance. But it doesn't matter if you don't. It doesn't matter if you don't. Just use the same seam allowance throughout the same quilt, throughout the entire quilt. And if you have more than one sewing machine, like Barb Brownlee, use the same sewing machine to make sure that using whatever foot you're using, just so that it's uniform, as long as everything is the same. So watch this. I've already, and I just like you can use dual purpose thread. I use heavy duty quilting thread. I'm using a 2.5, maybe I'll use a 2 centimeter stitch allowance. So this is all you do. You go through the end, and look, I still have 6 minutes. I'll be finished sewing this by then. So check this out. And I did iron my fabrics before I started. And if you're hand stitching, Francesca or anyone else, it's okay. Look, you see these crazy colors? That's what makes the quilt so beautiful. This crazy color going next to this crazy color. As long as you don't put two of the same color together, she's going to be pretty. She's going to be purty, real purty. And you know these are all my favorite colors. I'll tell you what, I'm used to those really heavy machines. This girl does the huckabuck. The huckabuck. So I put some rug cushion underneath here. Does anybody have any questions? The dreadful iron. I know. I found clothes I didn't even know I had, Rachel, because I keep sweaters and little things in a closet up here, but the ironing board is always up in front of it. Why? Because I'm sewing. I sew a little bit every day. I do a little something. And if your seams are a little bit crooked, guess what? Nothing is going to die because of it. It's not that serious. Now, the quilt police are not here, and they are the ones with the rules, and where you have to have so many stitches per inch, blah, 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 blah. So we're doing this for fun and to keep warm. We are not, and you know what? And these big pieces of fabric stretch anyway. We're only sewing 8 pieces together. So see here, I'm making an executive decision. I don't want these 2 plain pieces together. So I'm going to take you out of rotation and put you over here. Because there's so many prints. There's no need to put 2 plain ones next to each other when we have all these colors. So I will put this one here. And I'm just doing it random. It doesn't matter. I'm just grabbing the next one that came up. No rhyme or reason. So tonight I just wanted to show you all how to cut this and how to sew them, because you can do your own pace and you know what's coming next. You won't be like Maria Graham, who's even ahead of Auntie Ellen doing her stuff. And I'm at the end already. Okay, so I'm going to put this orange with this one. I knew there was orange in here. And you see I got a little bit of the salvage here and it's white. So what? Who gets a rat behind? Nobody cares. It's going to be number 1 inside the seam, and it doesn't matter. There's white in the block. So this quilt I designed to be beginner friendly. Am I missing a block? Well, oh no, here it is. This one I'm going to put there. And just so that you can see, keep it rolling. I'm rolling this one forward here because I'm excited to show you. Just give me another minute, and because this part is finished. Rachel, this is your kind. Uh-oh. I think I did the wrong side of this, but you know what? It really doesn't matter. It's not that serious. Sometimes it's hard to see in the light, and I was running my mouth, not paying attention. But with the African fabrics, the back is so close to the front that even if you sew the right side backwards, it's not going to matter. Would you turn down a quilt because one little block was like that? No. So guess what, you guys? I'm just doing that to get it off the machine. Why? Because that's it. Okay. So here's 1/2 a block. 1/2 a block. Because I just want to show you what the next piece is, because those of you like Maria Graham who sews 100 miles a minute will probably have this done by Thursday when I go live at 4 again. And I want to show you what happened, what we have so far. You here till I finish GQUAT? Oh, thank you. So, Crafty Leo says, when are we going to make this, Queen? You can make it right now. I will do this with you guys, if only 15 minutes each time. You ready? You can do it. Okay, so you see these 2 blocks? So guess what the next thing is? Yeah, you're right. The other ones, the 6.5-inch one, guess what you're going to do with this? I'm going to take 2 off the top because I don't want any 2 of the same color to be together. So I'm going to put this one on the bottom. So this is the third piece. I took the top 2 off, put them on the bottom. Now, normally I would go press this away from the big block. Why away from the big block? Because the big block is usually heavier. So you see these 2? Now I will try to see which one is the top. It's hard to see. If you can't see, it doesn't matter, right? So I will do this one block before we go over to the chat and hands in the dirt. But even if you don't do the seam the same way, it's not going to matter, because when I sew this one piece on the edge, you already have the 16-inch blocks sewn together. And you do something different with the 3.5-inch block, so don't worry about where that one goes. I have to get this string, you guys, because if I don't get it now, I might not see it later. Okay, so you just keep on the first piece flat. This, what I did was, I think, to answer your question, Crafty Leo, these first 2, where am I? These 2, are the first. These 2 are the first 2. Normally, I would press them in between. You can finger press them. Duval. Hello, Duval. How are you doing? And the double seam, I would press towards the 6.5-inch. Why? Because when you're sewing, these double seams are going to be heavier, and they're going to try to push them over. And boom, look. This is one block ready to go up on the wall for the quilt. And then after you lay these out on the floor, all 8 blocks, 2 across, 2 across, 2 across, after you get them the way you want them, then that's when you go back and get this last 3.5-inch strip and just put them along the side. Again, no two blocks the same. And this is what I call a CRAZY8 fat quarter. quilt because it's easiest with fat quarters, but it doesn't have to be fat quarters. Just do the same thing. If you have 10.5 inch block, every block in the quilt could be a different piece. It can be anything you want. It can be anything you want. Any types of fabric that you want. Do I stitch in the ditch? You getting ahead of yourself, ma'am. You can, but we're not a stitch in the ditch is what you do when you're putting, to answer Rachel's question, unbiased. A quilt is actually a sandwich where you have a top, you have batting, and if you're buying batting, I usually buy a really big piece and cut off of it. But you have the top that you piece together. This will be the top, the batting, and then the bottom. But what stitching in the ditch means, when you get your sandwich put together, you stitch along the seam lines. Before I stitch in the ditch, I know, Rachel, I just don't want you all to get mixed up, but you can always call me. What I would do, I would do an X. I would sew from corner to corner on the 10.5 inch squares. You're going to tear this up. You could do it. Honestly, I could do this part in 2 hours. In 2 hours. Hello, Dolores, or whoever. Crafty Leo, and you said you had 3 kids. You only have 2 more. Now, here's the thing. If you have small children, like Francesca, when you get these 8 blocks put together, that's all you really need. That's all you really need. Oh, wait, let me show you one last thing. Bones cracking. So, the quilt that was on the wall in back of me, I put a 2.5 inch, that bright green border around it. I wanted to use this fabric as a border with these because I like the teals and stuff. I didn't have enough for 2.5 inches. Hey, Felicia. Hey, Felicia. So I didn't have enough. So guess what? This piece is 1.5 inch. So do you have a year? You got this. You got this. By the time I get my knee replaced and sewed up and finish hobbling around the house. Hello, Tori's brain. Thank you for coming and welcome. So just so that you all know, this is going to be just something to go around these 8 blocks because all 8 blocks are going to be different, just to kind of give it some cohesiveness. Hello, Tori's brain. And this is what I'm going to use for a border. And I cut this border 8 inches. Hello, Sekou. I saw you doing something. Oh, the bus backing up down the street. The bus backing up down the street. So because this fabric had a print in it, like this, for the sides, I cut them all already because when I'm cutting, I go on a tear. But the ones that go across the top, I cut already, like going in this direction. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So you see this one? The stripes are going this way. These, I had the stripes going a different way. So when they match up, one is going to be at the head of the quilt and one is going to be coming up the sides. But we're not going to worry about that right now. And you guys can ask me any questions. These, Sekou Gerald knows some, the Bear's Den. Hello. Thank you for coming. And tell Imani I saw her watching that bus go down the street. I don't think I had a chance to go back. I have a TV in my bedroom. I just lay up there and wake up in the bushes watching things. I was watching Tori last night trying to sing up there with Big Rooster. And either I have to put my glasses on and type, and wake up and everything, or just keep my glasses off and enjoy watching you guys and try to come back. Life is short and be happy, right? So does anybody have any questions before they go start cutting up their kids' clothes and old dresses and whatnot? I have taken so many of my dresses. I didn't have a lot of African fabric. I only started quilting 25 years ago, but I hit the ground running and I was working full time. So I'd go to the craft store. No, I mean these fabric stores everywhere. I might I might spend $500, 600, 2, 300 a month. That was my drug of choice. He's definitely trying, Auntie Ellen. Trying to work my nerves. The yellow pattern pieces will be beautiful and unique in the quilt. Those are going to go around the bottom, around the corners as a frame. And it's easy. It's, this is meant to be just an accent quilt because it has pretty colors. But this is what they call just an industrial quilt. So Nikki, Hands in the Dirt, are live in the chat. I'd like you guys to go over and support them. I will too. Tell them Auntie's coming. I'm going to drink some water because y'all talk to me. Stitch in the Ditch. It's just a type of quilt finishing. The pattern for you, there is no written pattern. I can write it down. All we're doing are these 8 squares and some sashing around there. I mean, one border and a second border. I can write it down. I can write it down for you, Crafty Leo. But this is the whole quilt. Once you get the 8 blocks together, don't be trying to go ahead of me. Then you and Rachel selling your quilts before I even get a chance to show the rest of the class the pattern. After you get these 8 blocks finished and pressed, you lay them on your bed, on the floor, and you twist and turn them. That's the crazy part. You get the crazy part, and you put them any which way you want to. And then before you sew these together, though, take the 3-inch piece and lay it beside on any side you want. And you can have it going this way. You can have it going this way. You can have it going this way. Or you can have it going this way. Any way you want to. You're selling everything. Let me tell you a funny story. So I told my sister today, Joanne Stevens, that I'm going to make the same quilt. I'm just showing you guys how to do it with fabric. I'm going to make it in denim. I've always wanted a denim quilt, but I didn't have the kids' quilt. I couldn't get a straight block big enough to get a 10.5-inch block. Baby, big Rooster gave me some thigh quilts. I can put as many 10.5-inch. I only need 8. And then I can cut the others into borders. And it'll be easy. We sell it everything. So my sister said, "Who's getting that one?" I said, "I'm getting it." She said, "You always say that, and before you finish it, it's sold." I said, That's why I don't own a hobo bag. I can't do any hoboing. And before you leave, let me just show you guys that came in later the finished bag. I can't keep anything. Is Felicia still in here? So this is the same as a hobo bag, but thinner. Like for people going on cruises, going shopping, you can put your umbrella in here. It's going to a gardener, and she might be gone. But anyway, Felicia Humphrey made me that nice sweater. It's going to her. This is her bag. So for those who make nice things and send them to Auntie, I can tell how much time it takes to make things because I make everything. And unbiased said she get no getting out of it. I will help you all however you need. We can do it together. I will come up there with you. A wine bag. I actually have a special one. Oh, you would get. Do you know what a Nebuchadnezzar is? A Nebuchadnezzar is this giant wine bottle. I don't even know how many fifths or whatever's in it. I have to ask my goddaughter. My goddaughter is a sommelier. A sommelier in English is a professional wine tester. She's also a certified vegan chef. And they like Moet has those big ones. We sell it everything. Yeah, we dance for dollars around here. That's what we do. Okay, you guys. So see you. I'll meet you over there with Nikki, hands in the dirt. I love you. I love you. Ego amote, mother. I love you, mommy. I love you. All right. Good night. Good night, everybody. You guys make me laugh. You make my day. You keep me young. This is what happens when you come to Nana's house. And I said, don't tell your mother what Nana did.